the Bloodline pull up in the back and they walk out to their music. I think from the time that Roman's music started to when he finally said a word on the mic, I think there was about 15 minutes in between here because they came out like they were the conquering heroes that had just brought the World Cup to Italy. And this crowd is losing it. And dude, Roman Reigns was just milking the hell out of this. I mean, this was a Hogan performance if you ever saw one. They're clapping, they're singing, they're chanting. This was amazing. And they just let it go. And this ended up being a super long segment. There's no way that Abyss wasn't having heart palpitations.
Well, I imagine they would have let out plenty of time for this part of the show. And I think...
I don't know if they would have bookmarked 15 minutes before the promo would begin.
But the Reigns segment is always at least that long. You know, like they are, to me, my saving grace because I'm often like running against the clock trying to catch up to the show. And if I know there's a Roman segment coming towards the end, I know I'm going to be able to catch up because I could just zip through, you know, the entire 15 minutes and get caught right up. So I honestly, it might be sort of like tiring to you and I who might be watching every single week, but for the people who pay a ticket, who may never get a chance to see like, you know, this Roman Reigns in front of their eyes for the first time, I think they paid a ticket to experience every single second of
just to see the man, just to see him,
to see the walkout. Honestly, no, that's not crazy. People pay for the Undertaker entrance, and this is like maybe a, you know, like certainly as close as to that. Maybe
this is what musicians need to get on. Like instead of like doing a 50 city tour, you need to learn how to just do like live events where you don't have to sing or perform. It's just you doing like your walkout, and people go nuts for you. You don't have to wrestle. You don't have to sing. You just come out and be you.
I mean, you can argue plenty of musicians don't actually have to play music in order to sell out arenas.
That's true. Yeah. So it is Acknowledgement Day, and they call out Jacob Fatu, and he says how he knew what he was getting himself into and the consequences that came with it. He's taken a lot of L's his whole life, and he said that his children saw their father be a man and keep his word after a loss. And he admits, I lost to you, my tribal chief. But then he turns his attention to Jay and says, I didn't lose to your punk ass. And Fatu says he acknowledges Roman, gets down on one knee, and they lock hands. It's like Carl Weathers and Schwarzenegger here. And he lifts up Jacob and tells Fatu, you don't understand this right now, but I love you. And Jimmy calls this a warning shot to everyone. You're the twos, we're the ones, and up go the ones, including Jacob Fatu, who has now joined Vince McMahon's corporation.
Roman Reigns Corporation, perhaps, yeah. So, I mean, I thought this was really good, you know, and I know I'm sensing like a good chunk of the audience, judging by our feedback, that might feel this is some sort of like, it is a retread, yes, okay. I'm sensing already some fatigue from at least the section of the audience of all this Bloodline stuff. I personally don't feel it whatsoever. I mean, I think it's, to me, this is a sequel. It's a sequel to the first, you know, it's the Toy Story 6. By the way, I think that, are you sure that it's 6 and not 5?
I thought it was 5. I don't care. It might
okay,
be 6.
maybe, you know what? You're right. Whatever. It's a sequel. This is Andy all grown up, okay? He's given his toys to Bonnie. Thank you very much, Devin. It's 5. Okay. Andy gave his toys to a little girl named Bonnie in Toy Story 3. Thank you, Devin, for that. So this is the sequel. And I think like every sequel has to have some element that feels similar to the initial, you know, movie to start. It wouldn't be a Bloodline story without infighting between family members and then ultimately that family member losing only to acknowledge Roman Reigns as his tribal chief. You add to the fact that I think Jacob Fatu is way more captivating of a, you know, personality than I think anybody we previously seen in this group other than Roman Reigns. So I think the ultimate destination was always going to be Jacob Fatu being a part of this group. What I enjoyed about this is that they didn't just simply have Jacob Fatu come in, attack one of Roman Reigns' opponents, and then say, I'm in the group now. they had this entire like several month story where you got to focus on Jacob Fatu, learn about his backstory, learn about his motivations. And now by this point where he actually acknowledges Roman Reigns, I think it feels completely earned. It feels like a full story. And his entry into the group now feels just, again, a lot more complete. And I know a lot more about the Jacob Fatu character as a result. So while I may have been disappointed by the match itself, I think as a full story, I thought they did a great job of introducing Jacob into the group.
I mean, I do feel like they explain this story as like logical here, that here is the guy that made it to WWE, and the threat was that, the Adam Pearce wants to fire this guy. So Roman is literally, it's like, this guy is your lifeline to provide for your family, and you are a man of your word. You're going to join this group, and because the alternative is you're fired and you're the provider for your family. So I think that this story is ultimately for Jacob Fatu. Like, I don't think this is designed to like extinguish Jacob Fatu. I think it's quite the opposite, that I think they're going to hope that this character can stay strong enough that when you are ready to have him break away from the bloodline, that the audience will be wanting to see that, and this will build up like a powder keg. That's the hope. I mean, hopefully this is not like, it's like a cooling off of Jacob Fatu, but it's, this should be a long-term thing until like Rumble time, whenever it is that you want to build that breakaway.
He's also established like some rivalry that he's continuing with Jey Uso, who clearly does not like Jacob, and vice versa. And so you almost get the sense that those two will be competing for essentially second in command. They will be competing throughout the course of this episode. We have Roman telling Jey to go after the other championship, and then maybe that'll be where Jacob Fatu will step in and say, I'm going to be that guy. So I look forward to maybe some of that infighting between the two.
Why is Roman telling Jey to go challenge Cody, and Jey just does it? What happened to main event Jey Uso having his own thoughts and hopes? It just speaks to his bloodline reunion being put together relatively quickly, and that's why, even though it's pretty good in certain ways, it also, he's talking to Jey. He's like, he's still like controlling Jey, but it's like he's telling him like, you're my equal. Go become the champion. We're both going to lead this.
Yeah.
It's not like he's sending him to go pick up his laundry.
So is the Jey Uso transition from being main event Jey Uso to like now clearly second in command,
upper mid-card
Jey? Upper mid-card Jey. Could they have done a better job of maybe like transitioning him from one to the other? I would actually agree with that. At the same time, I understand Jey's motivation. He simply thinks that like, he is Roman Reigns. Okay, even though Jey might want to be in the main event, Roman is proven to be the best person to lead their family. And he believes that if the family is doing well, for the family to do well, he needs to follow Roman Reigns. He needs to at least be a part of a group where Roman Reigns is in command and in control. So he could still be in the main event. Those are different aspirations. But at least to for the good of the family, he needs to follow Roman.
It's been a difficult transition for Jey. Like, he's going from like this, the one of like the guys that they were fully behind a year ago, and they've kind of pumped the brakes on that for him. But he's still in a very good role. But it's definitely a step back. And and this is gravy for Jimmy Uso. Like, this is like, this isn't the bloodline. This is the lifeline. Okay,
it's very much so. But I'm also like intrigued by what Jey has like brewing here, like the whatever's going on with he and Solo. Jacob. LA Knight and Jey Uso, I think, is a very interesting one. Jey and Cody will be a really interesting one if he does, in fact, end up going for this championship.
PostWrestlingCafe.com is your destination throughout the entire month of June. It begins with Open House Week, where all members on the free tier get a full week slate of extra content. Following that, we have Brandon Thurston live in Delaware to cover the WWE merger lawsuit, and we will be doing wall-to-wall coverage with daily audio shows. Plus, we have Rewind Away looking back at the career of Manami Toyota, a review of WrestleMania 33. Karen and Bruce will cover New Japan's Best of the Super Juniors final along with Dominion, and we will get together for a new Ask Away mailbag show. PostWrestlingCafe.com, the destination for you.